Doug's going to have to.
Sandra, I want to talk to you about your letter that you received from Charles Manson today. What did it say in the letter about Squeaky?
Oh, let's see. Turn it off.
Okay. What did it have to say?
This is just a part and the good people who are called bad.
The word canonized sounds like a religious order. Do you consider yourself a member of a religious order?
In a sense. In one sense, yes.
I don't know if you read kinetic language at all. She'd be all right at sitting across a coffee table. Why did it?
The chance we get to be on.
How long do they go in for it? Well, he's really agitated, we'll do it without any. It needs a fair amount.
Any here?
Actually, he doesn't believe in that. He doesn't think anything's wrong with him, so he doesn't want any psychiatric help.
What does he talk about these days when he talks?
Let's see. He talks a lot about having another trial, a retrial. He feels that he never got a trial in the past, and because he wasn't allowed to defend himself, and therefore he keeps bringing that up constantly. Ever since I've known him, he wanted to represent himself.
What do you mean when you say he's much today like he was when he got here?
Well, he doesn't show much remorse for the killings, you know. And he talks the same. He sounds the same. He's got the same attitude that he had when I first met him.
Which is what kind of? How would you know?
There's times when he's a very peaceful, very lovable person, and then there's times when he's very he goes into rages and gets extremely upset with things, and that's how he is.
If you didn't know what he was here for, if you met him, what would your...
You know, he throws whatever he thinks you want to hear at you. And he's able to do that with you know, I've never met anybody that can do that the way he does it. You know, it's just very...
There was a specific example of that.
Well, if he thinks you want him to act angry, he'll act angry. If he reflects back on you what he wants, what he thinks you want to hear, and he does this very cleverly.
The superintendent was saying that there's something about his eyes, which of course everyone has heard before. Do you get that feeling? Does he use them?
Well, he just has a knack about him. He's a very persuasive person, and he does have a stare that's frightening at times.
What are the other prisoners' attitudes towards Manson?
Try to analogize the murders and blame the murders on the Vietnam War, that these were all ills of society, that he really wasn't as responsible for these murders as we as a society were. He tried to diminish his responsibility for the murders, saying that he really didn't tell Watson to go to the Tate House and commit the murders, that he just told Watson to go and do what he thought was right. That in the Hinman murder, that he admitted that he cut Hinman's ear off, but denied that he wanted there to be a robbery or directed Beausoleil to kill Hinman. He didn't talk about the Shea murder at all. He talked about the LaBianca murder and admitted that he went in the LaBianca house, but denied that he ordered Watson and Van Houten and Krenwinkel to kill the LaBiancas.
Is any of that new?
Well, Charlie's been denying his role for years, not so much on the record, but off the record. It's not... I think that today we kind of got to the furthest point about him admitting that he went in the LaBianca house. He's never admitted that before.
Why did this hearing take so long? The average CRB hearing is a half hour.
Well, I've attended, this is the fourth CRB hearing that I've attended. The Krenwinkel hearing was about 7 hours. The Adkins complicated case, and I think the board was very fair. They did let him say whatever he wanted to say, and he would interrupt at times when he shouldn't have interrupted, and they said, okay, that's fine, say what you want to say, and they handled him very properly, and they were very courteous to
Sounds
him.
like they bent over backwards for him when they wouldn't for someone else.
Well, in my dealings with them, they've been fair with all of the prisoners, and they
The
Make sure that you're...
You know, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I can see where you're saying it from, but it's not really reality. The only reality is that I'm going back in the cell, and that you got me locked up in a cell. That's reality. And then you say that I did all these things that you say I did, which I know I didn't do, and you know I didn't do. But it's easier for you to think that I did, because it all gives you a position. Because if I hadn't done all these things, then you guys would all be wrong, and certainly you're not going to be wrong. You guys be right. See, so we're all together.
what about that other one about the desert? What about the thing about...
The only reality is that I'm going back in the cell, and that you got me locked up in a cell. That's reality. And then you say that I did all these things that you say I did, which I know I didn't do, and you know I didn't do. But it's easier for you to think that I did, because it all gives you a position. Because if I hadn't done all these things, then you guys would all be wrong, and certainly you're not going to be wrong.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I'm well organized here, but this is at 13, so hold on.
Well, I will influence or unbrainwash people that you're already brainwashed. Or we'll put the guys that oppose me over here in this hole, and I'm on the horse at the same time. So what I'm thinking is, like, that's what I'm thinking. You know, you got two choices there. You got either lock me up in the desert so I won't influence your present society, and I won't influence the people that you're influencing, or I will influence or unbrainwash people that you're already brainwashed, or we'll put the guys that oppose me over here in this hole, and somebody's looking at them.
Okay,
Also, he has had 47 disciplinaries since his commitment to the institution, and 4 of these have been for assaults on staff, assaults on officers. As late as this year, he struck an officer in the mouth. These actions and this misconduct indicates that he is not suitable at this time. Primarily, the panel felt that the enormity of the crimes, the cruelty involved, the tortuous killing of Gary Hinman, these are the things that we called to Mr. Manson's attention in denying him suitability, in which he was personally involved in striking the first wound with his sword, severing off a part of Mr. Hinman's ear, resulting in his death 3 days later, where he was stabbed to death by Mr. Manson's crime partner, indicates his lack of suitability. Well, the fact remains that, you know, as we pointed out to him at the finish, when you consider the safety of the public, and you consider the risk to the public that is involved, and also uniformity, parity, you know, for the commission of 9 murders involved. Now, he's charged with 8 murders, but actually there were 9 murders involved, but the penalty on the murder of Shea was, might give him so many years on each offense, or so many years for each murder, and feel that in the interest of uniformity and fairness and protection of the public and gravity of the offense and all these factors, that you're going to make these consecutive, make these years consecutive. And so you give him a date, you know, sometime in the future. But first, you must find him suitable. And as I mentioned to Mr. Manson, at this time, he is clearly not suitable based upon his psychiatric reports, his own statements, his own attitude. Really, which reflected that he was not suitable. And he stated that he was not ready to go out into society. That he did not want to go out into society.
The judge has no way of controlling the pro per defendant who wants to disrupt the trial. What are you going to do with a man who's representing himself and who's on trial for his life? If he uses obscenities or throws a wastebasket at witness, what's the judge going to say? Behave yourself, young man, or I'll give you 5 days in jail for contempt? Here he's facing maybe the gas chamber.
No, I'm going to pass.
Nothing?
No,
I
I pass. Would you give that steak to Mike if he wants it?
Next door?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing?
No. Well, when company comes, you always stick the dirt in the back.
What do you mean by that?
If you're outside and you live a life on the outside, if, the mind that you live in, the thought that you live in, is a family. The head of your family is Nixon. He's your father. He's lost sight of his children. He doesn't see in the back. He doesn't see in the shadows. He doesn't see on the roadsides. He doesn't see in the back of the cells. He doesn't see in the yard in the penitentiary. You take the bottom of the world. He doesn't see the bottom. His eyes reach in the conscious mind, in the foreground, in the free world. The penitentiary is in the background, the think chambers. These are all think chambers.
Do guys belong on a death row or a condemned row, if there is such a row? They belong in a place like this? If they've been convicted of murder and killing?
Most of the people in here are just your reflections. They're your mistakes. So, as a collective society.
Even though they have rebelled against that society?
Well, they weren't born rebelling. They weren't born with the anger and frustration that they have. That had to be put on them by somebody. Somebody created them. It's as if your outside world programs people into education and knowledge. The inside unprograms people to wisdom and understanding. In other words, you have two thoughts.
Do you believe that there should be a death penalty?
A death penalty?
Yes, for someone who commits a murder or something like that.
Aren't we all born to die? We're born with a death
in a
penalty.
gas chamber?
In a gas chamber. Well,
or by hanging, or by an electric chair.
I see what you're searching for.
Should there be a supreme penalty for committing a crime?
What do you think?
I'm the one who's asking you.
Yeah, but if I don't give you the answer that you want...
Doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't
it's
matter.
Your opinion.
Well, I don't have the authority to say anything like that.
You have the authority to believe.
I believe what I'm told to believe. Don't you?